Hey Gooners, welcome to another episode on Arsenal Transfer Roundup at the Gooner Pavilion. And the Arsenal transfer window, I have to say, is something of a frustration for all Arsenal fans. But before I get to that, please hit that like and subscribe button, and please share this content with as many Arsenal fans as possible. I do want to touch on a very wholesome moment that in the last week just reminds us what it means as a fan, as a player. And I know that there's ridiculous amounts of money that is going on in football these days. But sometimes you can almost forget the human element of it. And there was none bigger than the signing of Miles Lewis Kelly, a young guy who in the last 12 months, his life has completely changed. In playing with the under 21s and getting a first start appearance, actually not a start, but appearance on the bench, and then getting a couple of minutes to becoming the undeniable left back for Arsenal towards the end of the season, getting an England call-up, scoring on his England debut. Um, I think it's an absolutely incredible feat for any player. And I don't think I can remember any young player that has had that sort of rise so quickly in the space of a very, very short period of time. And a video, of course, Arsenal media, they're a 10 out of 10. When it comes to promotions of stuff, Arsenal do a very good job. And it was very good to see him with his grandmother. And a lot of people might not really understand this. For a lot of us, especially from where we come from, and some of you that um, I'm from Nigeria, I've got Nigerian roots. And a lot of us grow up with our grandparents having a lot of influence over our lives, especially our grandmom. Um, I know that growing up, and quick story here, when I was in high school, I was also in boarding school as well. And one of the things that was very common in boarding school was depending on where your school was, which was usually quite some distance away from home. When you have those breaks in between the school calendar, sometimes it was always too far to go home. And if you had family close by or friends who your parents trust, you probably go and stay with them. So my grandmom lived not too far away from where I had high school. So more often than not, I would go to my grandmom's place. And boy, she was such a good cook. I always loved going there. Her food were amazing. It was the genuine place that you go to, and a lot of people could probably relate with this, where you have no judgment. All they want is the best for you. And grandparents are always slightly different from your parents because the parents have got a different role, and absolutely they need to keep you, straight and narrow, all the discipline and everything, the structure, the schedule, and all of that. But grandparents just hit a little bit differently, and they just love you unconditionally. Of course, they want you to grow up with discipline, and they want to remind you of where you come from. But when you want to learn about your culture and your roots and things like that, your grandparents, your grandmom specifically, is a key figure in that. So for me, seeing him with his grandmom walking through the aisles of the Arsenal building, that really touched home, because I remember celebrating key things with my grandmom and just seeing the look in her face when you did something and you were successful at that. And that emotion was completely there for Miles Lewis Kelly. And so I really loved it, and fair play to the kid. I really hope he goes on and becomes one of the best left backs in the country if that's what he wants to do. I know there's conversation about whether he can play in the midfield as well, but I really, really love that moment, and it just reminds you about the human side of football. Okay, and congratulations to Miles Lewis Kelly. But just shifting gears a little bit, let's just talk about Arsenal transfer because that's what this podcast is about. Um, let's start with the one that's already done, or so it speaks. So Martin Zubimendi, David Austin, from the Athletic says that this one is basically tied up with ribbons, right? He's been spotted in London, probably not trying to look suspicious while Arsenal media are doing their thing. Fee around 50 to 55 million. and we've talked about him so much, so I'm not gonna, dwell on Zubimendi. So let's move on from that. The other one is Kepa. Fabrizio Romano confirms a deal from Chelsea is done for about 5 million. Still waiting for the Arsenal photos, but I think that one's done. The one that is really giving everyone scratching heads is the recent reports about Nogard from Brentford. Damage says that in advanced talks to a deal of about 30 million. And honestly, this one is not hitting home the way any transfers, especially with the fact that Arsenal fans have been waiting and waiting for transfer to be locked in. And to think that the one that progressing at light break speed is the Brentford. And maybe they're trying to take advantage of what's happening in Brentford. Obviously, you've got Thomas Frank, who's gone to Spurs. And so maybe that leaves a little bit of opening for people to come in and swoop on their players. And maybe that's what Arsenal is trying to do. But I don't know. This doesn't excite me. He's a decent player, and I'm sure we're now going to start looking at him and bigging him up and all of that. But let's be honest, right? There's no one that would have looked at him and said he's the kind of player that we need in Arsenal to come in and help us win championship, especially with the likes of Thomas Partey. So, and I think that's the frustrating thing, because if people talk about money being the sole decider for why Thomas Partey is leaving, and then you go around and you spend 30 million for a player that's over 30, who's probably not going to start as many games, then it really, really begs the question, why are you doing this? Isn't that money best invested in someone who's got experience in the Champions League, got experience in the Premier League, always gives you 10 out of 10 when he plays and is on form? Plus, Thomas Partey slots into multiple positions. So you're not just getting one player, you're getting a multiple of 2 or 3 players. Does Nogard slip into that right-hand side of the defense, playing right back? Does he do that? Can he play further forward? Can he step into the defense when needed to play? I mean, these are all questions that I want to ask. But if Arsenal signs a player, we'll just see. Maybe he can have the Jorginho effect, but this one doesn't really satisfy me. Now, talk about one that satisfies. Let's talk about the rumors that have been going on about Eberechi Eze. Fresh reports from Daily Mail, I believe, suggest Arsenal are making real moves for Eberechi Eze. Again, this one might be agents that are talking, trying to get the guy a new contract, which is great. Understanding suggests that he's got 68 million pounds in release clause. But I mean, Eze excites, and potentially he comes into the Arsenal team. He's not exactly what Arsenal has. I'm not quite sure what Eze is. I don't know if he's a goal scorer or he creates assists, or just the guy that does the thing before the person creates the assist and before the goals are scored. If you look at his record in the league, I mean, I was looking at it the other day, and I'm just gonna pull it up on my phone here. I think the most goals that he's ever scored is 11 goals, right? That's the highest goals he's ever scored, and that he did that in 2023-24. Last season, he played 34 games and scored 8 goals and 8 assists. So, I mean, when it comes to numbers of goals and scoring goals, he's not really been up there at all. And then when you kind of compare him with Martinelli, who potentially he might be taking places from. I mean, Martinelli, has hit double figures in 2022, 15 goals. That was probably his most standout run in the team. But I mean, it's kind of very similar, really similar. Martinelli scored 8 goals in the same. Maybe Eze edges it just more on the assist point of view, because Martinelli has never hit about 8 assists. His highest has been 6, which was a long time ago. So I don't know whether it's a bit the same kind of player. So if you're thinking of spending 68 million on a player who has not really brought in a lot of goals or assists, it makes you, ask questions. And don't get me wrong, right? I would love him. I would sign up for Eze. I think he's an exciting player. I think he can go up a level in Arsenal as well. But then you compare Eze and Rodrygo, and if it comes down to between the two, I'll probably edge towards Rodrygo, Champions League winner. The money will probably be the same. He's dynamic as well, and comes with playing for a real big club under pressure, a team that has to deliver titles year in, year out. And I think playing for Real Madrid will compensate about that Premier League thing, where people will sort of say, well, Eze has played in the Premier League, so he knows a little bit more about the Premier League and all of that. So, but guys, who would you prefer if it comes down to it, Eze or Rodrygo? Let me know in the comments as well. We've got more defensive links with Arsenal. So Cristhian Mosquera from Valencia, Charles Watts via Team Talk and Inside Arsenal podcast, saying that Arsenal are eyeing Mosquera for around 25 million. He's 20 years old, but he's played over 80 La Liga games. So that counts for something, I would say. And this is where you've got to give Arsenal credit and maybe Mikkel Arteta, because I think all his defensive signings have literally been a hit, bar one or two. You talk about Ben White, you talk about in what he's done with Saliba, and then you've talked about Marcus Lewis Kelly coming in through. You've got Calafiori that is coming as well. You've got Timber. All of this. It does make me think that when it comes to defenders, I don't question Arsenal because they've got it more right than wrong. For a 20-year-old, he must be something special. And especially when you start to have lots of injuries. And if there's one part of the Arsenal squad that usually have the most injuries is the defensive line. It's been weak year in, year out. Don't really understand why, but Arsenal always seems to have injuries in the defensive line. If it's not Saliba, it's Gabriel. Tomiyasu's been out for so long. Ben White as well. Calafiori as well. Timber as well. Zinchenko has got injuries as well. So it just seems like that's an area of the squad that's always vulnerable. So any investment there makes sense. For 25 million, 20-year-old, I think that's money well spent. He's a good prospect. He can give you, if he comes and be a hit, another 10 years in the club. So I'm not too mad about that one. But let's see whether that's a smart move, because there's nothing worse than no centre-backs than having a centre-back like Rob Holding, disrespect to Rob Holding. But of course, it's the one that everyone is talking about, switching gears, the elephant in the room, or maybe the giraffe in the room, depending on how you look at it. And that is a striker situation. When is Arsenal going to sort that out? People are talking about the fact that this PSR in the equation. Arsenal are waiting to the 1st of July to really, really move on a player. I think everyone sharing the frustration about that. Benjamin Šeško, Fabrizio is saying that Leipzig 155 million. I think we've talked about this transfer for a long, long time, but it was one that has just come out, which I don't know how true this is. There's a young Romanian striker from Sky Italia, Gheorghe, who's cheap and raw, but again, it's not a player that strikes us. We want to go win the league, especially now that you fixture and what the first 10 games looks like. And please check my channel on the first 10 fixtures for Arsenal as well, and on my reaction on that. But that doesn't tell me that this is a proven player that is out there to take Arsenal to the next level. So I don't know what's really going on with the Arsenal transfer, but we do need to have a transfer signing as soon as possible, guys. And because we're running out of time, we're at the end of June, recording this on a Saturday, and Zubimendi done, Kepa, Nogard maybe next, but the striker saga, I think for us, is what really needs to be resolved. But guys, is Zubimendi an upgrade to Partey, or just the same? Would you choose Eze or Rodrygo if you had the choice? And should we just go out there and sign Šeško? Forget all this dancing around. Go out there. If we want to get Šeško, we get him. And we risk waiting and lose out on the player. And of course, it's Kepa a solid cover. I want to do something about goalkeepers. Talking about Arteta's success, or failure when it comes to goalkeepers. So if you want to see that, put that in the comment section as well. But guys, I think everyone wants Arsenal to do the right thing. We trust the club. We want the club to go out there and get the right players for Arsenal. But the state of the transfer market right now, it's just ridiculous for us. But hey, hit that like and subscribe button. Stay tuned for more Arsenal Roundup, because I think this is going to continue for a bit. But I appreciate all of you for watching. If you made it this far, then please spread the love, share the video with other people as well. And I'll see you in the next one.